Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Currently, we have completed the validation for our employee form. Are we supposed to write the same for our address form as well? Our address form also extends action form. So that means this has the capability of having validate and reset methods. Let us say you have a separate address page itself and you are going to submit the address page. That means you are supposed to verify all the form parameters, whether the city, state, zip code are available or not. Let us say you have a big application and the application consists of 30 form beans. So that means you are going to end up with writing 30 different validate methods based on each and every field validation, and Struts framework will be going to call the validate method for all the 30 beans. The calling of validate by the Struts framework, it won't be changed because it was supposed to execute the validate method for each and every form bean population. But writing 30 beans validate method is a bit pain, and that's the reason Struts has provided plugin stuff. Validation plugin. So the validation plugin is based on an XML format, based on an XML, and it was common for all the form beans. In the sense, you are going to have two XML files. The first one is validation rules.xml file, and the next one is your validator.xml file. See, normally our validation will be, we already know what kind of validations will be available, should be available for our form beans. The main thing is required field, whether the parameter was populated or not, and the next one is min length, max length. If at all, if it is a credit card, you want the credit card validation, whether it consists of the 16-digit or 15-digit based on the credit card type. Email validation. So these are the basic validations that are required for our normal usage. Struts, what it has done is it has created a separate class file to perform all these validations. See, these validations are common for any kind of bean. Either you go for employee bean or address bean. and you can simply verify whether the required field or min length or max length or the password, whether the password characteristics, whether it was consists of special characters or not. Such kind of validations are common for any kind of form beans. So Struts has provided a separate validator, separate class for validation. And also there is one another XML, which is validation XML with respect to your form bean. The validator.xml is corresponding to your form beans. So here you are going to specify, hey, this is my employee form, and here I want to verify my username and password with required, or else I want to verify password with minimum length. So these criteria, these validation methods are already available at the rules level. So what you are doing, you are just associating to your form bean what kind of a validation that you want to perform. So currently with respect to username and password, I want to verify whether the fields are available or not. Yeah, there is one method already available. You can just make use of that, and it's not required for you to write any kind of new code. Or else, let us verify password whether it has met the criteria of minimum length. Yes, there is a validation available. Just make use of that, and I'll provide, if at all if the validation was failed, I'll be going to provide some message to you so that you can send it back to the user. That's how your common validation rules are defined. If you want, you can define your own validation rules as well, and you can configure them within your .xml file. Yesterday we have discussed about most of them. There is one another, which is plugin. The plugin is used to configure external plugins. Any kind of framework needs a startup. So the startup will be specified by using the plugin class. Your validator plugin, the name of the class itself, the validator plugin, was supposed to implement any kind of plugins that we want to configure within Struts framework. It was supposed to implement one interface, which is plugin interface. It was supposed to implement plugin interface, and it was supposed to provide the definition for init and destroy method. The plugin interface is just like your context listener. See, your context listener, context initialized and destroyed method will be called by your container during startup and shutdown. In the same way, your validator plugin will be called during application startup and shutdown. Who will call this validator plugin init and destroy methods? Your Struts framework will call during the application loading. It will call the init method of validator plugin, and during the shutdown, it will call the destroy method. If you want, you can write your own plugin. The custom plugin also you can write. You can just specify the name of the class within your Struts XML file, and Struts will call the initialization method during the startup of our application. If you want to pass some parameters, you can also pass that by using set property and property value pair, name value pair. Currently, I have removed the listener class. My listener class was not available within web.xml, and I have written a custom plugin, Hibernate configure plugin. Whatever the code that was available within my context initialized method, I have just moved to my init method of plugin class. And once after that, Once after that, here you can see that my plugin class, plugin, this is the element, and you need to specify the corresponding class name. That's the only configuration that you need to make within your struts config.xml. I forgot to tell one more thing. With respect to your message resources the message resource property file, whatever that you have specified, you just need to mention that one also within your struts config.xml file. Message resources is the element name, and you need to specify the name of the file by using parameter tag, and no need to specify the dot properties extension. This is a required one. By using this only, your struts will find out the corresponding values for the property keys. My mistake. I haven't explained this that time. So currently for validation plugin configuration, you don't need to import any of the jar files because that was already imported by your plugin, your Eclipse plugin. The file is common validator.jar file. And during the plugin creation of files, during the application creation, project creation, your plugin has already created two files. The first one is validation.xml and the next one is validatorrules.xml. You just need to make use of these two files, and you need to inform to the struts framework that I'm not going to use my own validation method. I'm not going to use, come back to our employee form. In an employee form, you have written your own validation method. So now you don't want the validation method to be written by you at each and every form bean level. So what you are supposed to do, you need to comment whatever the method that you have written, and you need to inform to the struts framework that I'm not going to do the validation and I'm just going to do the configuration. Struts was supposed to perform the validation. That will be specified by using validator form. So until now, you are extending action form. So when you are using validation framework, you are not going to extend action form, and you are supposed to extend validator form. The reason is your validator form extends action form. Go to that class. So here you can see that your validator form extends action form, and this will be going to write the validate method. See, ultimately you are supposed to extend action form. Either you go for two-level hierarchy or three-level hierarchy, that doesn't matter. Ultimately, you are extending action form. But here the purpose of extending validator form is you are not going to write the validate method, and the validate method will be written by your validator form. That's the reason you are supposed to extend validator form, and the validation will be taken care by your validator form itself. If you have extended validator form and you have again provided your own validation method, then struts won't use the validate method available at the superclass level. Remember, the hierarchy, the method call will get resolved only to the lower level. So that means the validate method at my lower level will come into the picture, and this will be going to execute the code. So that's the reason you are not supposed to write the validate method at your level. That is the first step. Change action form to validator form. Next thing is configure validator plugin. Within config.xml file. If you don't know what is the class name, you can just Google it, or else you can verify within your jar files itself, org.apache.struts.validator.validation plugin. This is the class name which you are supposed to configure within your strutsconfig.xml file. You can configure any number of plugins. Class name is validator plugin and it requires an input. The input is nothing but your path names, the path to both the XML files, validation.xml and validatorrules.xml. So that means during the init method, see, when you have configured a validator plugin here, Struts will call the init method of validator plugin. Then it will read this property and it will get the information from these two XML files and it will prepare the necessary information for our validation. You need to provide the location relative to your web content. Both the files, it should be comma separated. Make sure that you have provided the proper names. I'm sorry, I have reverted. Value. If you say control space here, it will take you to the class name. If you are able to open properly, then you have configured the file name or the class name properly. Here also you can see that I am able to open the validation.xml and I am able to open validatorrules.xml. Make sure that you have configured properly, or else the validator plugin it won't be able to read the files properly and it won't perform the validation correctly. Now you have configured the plugin. Next thing is verify your validation rules.xml file and also the validator.xml file. So go back to the first, which is rules file. You can just go through this particular messages. They have already provided the necessary information for configuring the validator framework. You can see that you need to configure this plugin. File contains the default struts validator, and you need to specify this. We have already specified this validator plugin, and we have provided these path names as well. And here you can see that these are the default error messages associated with each validator defined in this file. They should be added to your project application resources.properties file, or you can associate new ones by modifying the pluggable validator messages. So here you can see that errors.required is equal to 0 is required. So the 0 is nothing but it is a dynamic parameter. It will be replaced by the parameter whatever that you are going to specify, and to the front end it will display this message. We'll see how to configure this one. See, these are just like comments. Come back to at this level. The root tag is form validation. Both the forms validation and validation rules.xml file, they'll use same DTD, but the elements will be changed within validator rules and validation.xml. So the next level element is global, and within global you are going to write all your validator rules. The validator rules are defined in a class called field checks. Come back to the document. This class will contain all your validation methods. If you want to verify, Go to this class, struts validator dot field checks. This is the class name. Open 1.2 version. The class contains the default validations that are used in the validator rules.xml file. So here you can see that validate byte, validate credit card, validate date, double, email, validate float. So the data types are field can be safely converted to the float primitive or not. So this is just like float dot parse float method. Validate mask, verifying whether it consists of the regular matching with the regular expression. You can just check this one and you can make sure that your password consists of only normal characters but not special characters. Validate max length, validate min length, validate required, validate URL. So all these method syntax you are going to configure within your validation rules.xml file. So within XML file, within the validator, you are going to specify the name of the validator, which you are going to use within your validation.xml file, just like a reference. And after that, you need to specify the class name. After that, you need to specify the method name. Currently, my method name is validate required. And after that, you need to specify the method parameters data types. So currently, you can see that my validate required accepts these many parameters: object, validator action, validator field, action messages, HTTP servlet request. So you need to specify all those objects at this level. And finally, the message with which it will be going to prepare the error message and display to the console. Errors.required. Come back to at this level. You can see that errors.required. So you are going to configure these messages within your resource properties file. Whenever this validation has failed, this will prepare the error message with the key errors.required. So if you make use of that key name within your properties file, you can directly display the error message back to the JSP page. That is the intention of using this one. Now this, it will come by default by our plugin itself. Our plugin has filled up all this information. See, if you want, you can open this one and you can verify the class details as well. Your field checks class. Now come back to our validation.xml file. See, until now, we have discussed about global element within our form validation. The validation.xml file consists of one more element, which is form set element. Let me comment this one. A sample example will be provided by your framework itself. So the next one is form set, nothing but you are going to specify to which form you want to apply the validation. So currently I want to apply the validation to which form? My employee form. So the name of the form should be taken from your struts config.xml file only. So currently my form being name is employee form. Come back to this one, employee form. And the property is username. With each field, what kind of stuff you want to do. with each field, you need to specify what is the property and what kind of validation that you want to perform. If you want to perform multiple validation, you can specify a comma symbol and specify the next validation. You can specify multiple validations. And once after that, this argument.key, this argument we'll discuss in a second. Just leave it as it is. Come back to our password. So our field password also, I just want to apply the required verification. Forget about this one. We'll verify, or we'll apply later once after verifying the basic stuff. So with my employee form, I want to verify whether the username and password are available or not. So that is called the required verification. And once after that, you want to specify some name, some error message back to the user. So currently, go back to our validator rules.xml file. So within our validator rules.xml file, you have already specified the message key is errors.required. But you want to display to the user that, hey, you haven't entered the username. That means you need to specify username is required. Or else you haven't entered password. So that means you need to specify password is required. So is required is common, but you want to specify the parameter as dynamic, whether it is username or password. That will be specified by using another attribute, another element, which is argument 0. You have the option of specifying 5 arguments, argument 0, argument 1, and argument 2, and argument 3. I'm sorry, only 4. And here you can pass the key. The key can be again from the resources file. If you want to make it complicated, you can pass this one also as a key from the properties file. If you don't want to make it complicated, and if you are interested to directly specify that this is just like a normal property, but not the property from key file. That will be specified by using another attribute, resource. So here, if you specify resource equal to true, this one also will be retrieved from the property file, and this will be replaced as 0 during the error message display. Here you have mentioned as resource false, which means I'm not interested this parameter, or this should be directly resolved to the variable name or the corresponding value for 0, but it was not a key and value pair from the resource file. Even for the password also. Or else for password, mention that this is from resource file. By default, resource equal to true, no need to specify. So specify that pwd dot or error dot pwd. So I'm going to refer error dot pwd from my message resource properties file, password. And now you are supposed to add this error message also. This one, errors dot required, 0 is required. This one also you are supposed to specify within your properties file. Ultimately, this is the one will get resolved by your struts validation. Once you have configured everything,
so many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website h2kinfosys.com. On our website h2kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.